eating the worst quality beef.
Yes.
The worst quality pork. I mean, the pork that comes from a feedlot and they're fed slop and they live in the worst conditions, not our pigs, but like the worst possible conditions. Eating chickens that were grown inside and have never seen the light of day, that is still healthier than eating the standard American diet. Welcome back to the 2KK Uncensored Podcast.
I'm Rachel.
And I'm Joe.
And we are two Krazy Ketos.
So today, I want to start with something that I already know is going to annoy a certain segment of the keto and carnivore population.
Come on, Joe.
And honestly, good. Because if this annoys you, you might want to ask yourself why it's annoying you. Here's my question. Are we gatekeeping keto so hard right now that we are actually pushing newcomers away before they even get a chance to see any results? Because from where I'm sitting, it feels like keto hasn't gotten any harder to do. The rules have just gotten louder. When I got started, keto used to be about removing the obvious garbage. Things like sugar and bread and unprocessed, ultra-processed junk. But somewhere along the way, this has turned into purity culture where if your plate doesn't meet a very specific standard, then people don't want to help you. Honestly, all they want to do is judge you.
Yeah, and if you're new, it's honestly kind of terrifying. You go online for help and suddenly you're like, wait, am I even allowed to be here? Because the message feels like, sure, you can do keto as long as you can eat ribeye, as long as you never touch pork, as long as you avoid chicken like it's a crime and don't even look at dairy unless it's raw and it's blessed and you know the person who made the cheese. And definitely don't mention a budget, Joe, because heaven help you if you have to say words like ground beef or hot dogs out loud.
Exactly. I mean, here's the part that's really driving me nuts lately. When somebody struggles, the assumption is always that they messed up, that they cheated, that they weren't disciplined, that they weren't strict enough. But we never actually stop and ask whether maybe the version of keto that they were told to follow just isn't realistic in their life right now.
I mean, let's be honest. Beef is expensive, like shockingly expensive. And I'm not just talking about ribeye, even basic cuts, even ground beef. And if you're trying to feed a family like we were, a family of 5 when we were raising our family, trying to stay on a grocery budget, but then being told that ruminant meat and mostly steaks is really the only acceptable option, that can make keto feel like a luxury lifestyle and not a health tool that everyone has the access to.
And that's where this whole thing is really starting to lose the plot, because now we've got people thinking, if I can't do this perfectly, I shouldn't do it at all. So instead of people starting to eat eggs and pork and chicken and maybe really cheap cuts of meat and staying keto, they're quitting. Or worse, they go back to eating the ultra-processed carbs because at least those things are affordable and familiar.
Which is wild because somehow eating a donut has become less controversial than eating a pork chop in the keto world. And let that sink in. I mean, that's pretty frightening that we would rather send people back to Candyland than to allow them to stay welcome in the keto space.
And that's the upside down logic that we've created. And I'm going to say this plainly. Eating pork does not disqualify you from being keto. Eating chicken doesn't mean that you're a failure. Eating cheese doesn't mean that you're weak. And eating a hot dog doesn't mean you should just burn it all down and start over again.
And yet people feel like they have to whisper those things. Like, I'm keto, but please don't tell anybody that I eat bacon, which is hilarious because bacon is literally how most of us found keto in the first place. And let me tell you, it was in a discount supermarket with a coupon in the cheaper part of the refrigerated section.
For a long time, Dr. Berry has said, you can do keto with hot dogs and mustard. Yet every time we mention that, we're told Dr. Berry didn't say that. It's like people just want to hear this thing that the only way to do keto properly is by eating the most expensive cuts of meat and you can't have anything else. And, you know, God forbid you bought your steak in Walmart. And we're really creating this issue. We've turned what should be a very supportive space into hierarchy. And the higher you go, the more expensive and the more restrictive it gets. But here's the truth. This is going to make purists angry, but the best diet isn't the one that looks the cleanest online. It's the one that somebody can afford to do, something that somebody can repeat to do, and something that people can sustain without feeling like a failure.
And if that makes you upset, maybe ask yourself, who do you think keto is actually for? Because if it only works for people with unlimited grocery budgets, unlimited time, and zero stress, then it's not a lifestyle. It's actually a performance.
So today we're going to talk about the foods that don't get all the Instagram applause and pictures, but these are foods that absolutely can keep people keto and carnivore.
Because keto doesn't need any more gatekeepers. It needs fewer food police and more common sense. I want to go back to something that you had just said earlier, Joe, and that is when we started keto, it was about getting rid of the obvious garbage, right? And there are plenty of aisles of that at the grocery store. You get to take your shopping cart and walk by shelf after shelf of things like bread and cereal and bars claiming to be meals and, belly wash, just all kinds of things that are obviously science experiments made up of no nutrients, let alone nutrient density. And we were so proud, I think as a community for a very long time, that we had walked past all of those food choices that weren't really food. We came to know them as frankenfood. And yet now we don't celebrate that. We're not celebrating it the way we used to. Now you shall celebrate when you have had a month-long run of nothing but steak on your table.
Right. Well, see, when I got started on keto, number one, there wasn't a big talk of carnivore. I mean, keto was like the new thing. You had a lot of people who were doing paleo. They came over to keto. So the big thing for them was they were eating a lot of vegetables and stuff, but they were still eating some sugar, and they came over to keto where now you're not eating that stuff. So the shocking thing was giving up natural sugars, things like coconut sugar and honey and, maybe some really ground wheat breads and that kind of stuff. And somewhere over the last few years, it shifted to, if you're not carnivore, you're not good enough. Now, this is not a rant about carnivore or anything. Really, the whole idea that we're trying to get into this is, right now, beef prices are expensive. And if you can't afford beef, you probably can't afford the other ruminant meats either, because they tend to be more money than the other ruminant meats. But when we got started, it was always like a gradual, progression when I got started of, listen, all you're going to do now is you're going to eat meat, whatever kind of meat, and you're going to eat eggs, whatever kind of eggs. Honestly, there wasn't even a big push against seed oils. It was just don't eat sugar and carbohydrates. That's all it was. And then you slowly over time found I want to improve. So for us, it was go to pasture-raised eggs, then eliminate seed oils. But now when a new person comes in, they're being told, listen, day one, you have to be carnivore. There is no progression anymore.
Well, and it's not just a carnivore thing, because I do think that we've already talked about that sacred cow, that carnivore or nothing. And I think that there is some loosening going on. I think other people are waking up to the fact that, okay, it probably won't be the totality of every single person's eating plan. And that's rude to expect that of other people. And yet another sacred cow, while we're slaying sacred cows, we might as well slay them all, right? The next one I see is a food quality issue. And you have to look at who is establishing the rules for that. Because I'm going to tell you, Joe, we have moved from South Florida to the middle of Florida in order for us to raise our own pasture-raised eggs and poultry, turkey. We're going to be raising our own pasture-raised pork. And I'm going to tell you, there are people that are going to look us dead in the eye, no matter how much hard work we put into this, and say, oh no, your whole farm is crap. Because if you're not raising a ruminant animal, you shouldn't even bother. So if we are getting this type of pushback and like, I can't believe you're eating chicken, I can't believe you're eating turkey, it's such a lesser than thing, then imagine what the new person on the block is getting when they come in and be like, hey guys, what's your favorite hot dog?
You know, it's funny you say that. So if you're new to us, we've started raising Kuni pigs. Well, one of our piglets had bad worms.
Yeah.
And I mean, bad, like she was throwing up worms. So we treated it, and we treated it with ivermectin. But like, I'm afraid to tell people that because somebody who's a purist out there is going to be like, well, I'm never eating that pork anymore. You gave your pig ivermectin. What do you want me to do? Let her die from worms?
Oh, absolutely.
That's how it's gotten.
There's going to be people that even if you're raising beef or lamb, if you have mercy on your animal and your animal needs an antibiotic, they're going to be like purity over doing what is
best for the animal.
Best for the animal. Common sense. Like, forget that. It's funny because we're rewatching The Chosen right now, and we see the ludicrousness of things like, the Pharisees and Sadducees saying like, I don't care if this person was crippled. You're only allowed to heal or help somebody on a day that's not the Sabbath day. And I feel like, oh my gosh, we've got our own Pharisees and Sadducees.
Let's take this to a more positive note.
Okay.
We're going to say this. Eating the worst quality beef.
Yes.
The worst quality pork. I mean, the pork that comes from a feedlot and they're fed slop and they live in the worst conditions, not our pigs, but like the worst possible conditions. Eating chickens that were grown inside and have never seen the light of day, that is still healthier than eating the standard American diet. And if anybody tells you otherwise, tell them to take a flying leap.
Kiss my grits.
Kiss Rachel's grits. Don't kiss my grits. Okay. I do want to acknowledge, though, food quality does matter. The purists are right in some things. Food quality matters. Ultra-processed food isn't the most ideal thing. Seed oils are not a health food. And eating most animal-based is powerful. So again, eating meat, no matter how bad of a quality it is still better than the standard American diet. And as you can do better, you do better.
Well, isn't that the case with everything? Like, isn't it better to use higher quality building materials if you're trying to build a house than to use lesser things? But what are you saying? If you can't afford Italian marble floors, then you should just live outside in a tent? Because if you can't afford the best, you shouldn't have anything at all? Like that does not make sense to me.
We're going through this right now. And this is kind of what's sparking this discussion. Because right now, as I said, beef and ruminant meat prices are through the roof. So beef prices are going through the roof. And considering other ruminant meats like elk and bison and lamb were always more expensive, you would think that beef would be more expensive than that, and that would stay the price. But because beef prices are going up and people consider lamb and bison healthier foods, people are buying that stuff now, and so the price of that are going up. So it's getting very expensive to eat ruminant meat. And so what we're seeing is people want to stop eating keto carnivore because they're being told you should only be eating beef and ruminant meat. And the reason I say that this is affecting us is because we've pretty much made it known we're not eating a lot of beef and ruminant meat. Not because we don't like beef and ruminant meat. Rachel's favorite food is ribeye, but we can't afford to eat the amount of beef and ruminant meat we used to. We used to be able to get a brisket for $2.50 a pound. That same brisket now is $7, $8 a pound. You used to be able to get a steak for $6, $7 a pound. Now it's up $15, $20 a pound. So we are focusing on poultry and pork and like canned food and what we call special meat, like, you know, the cheapest discounted, like you have to eat this within an hour at Walmart meat.
And I'm going to say, if you're new to keto, don't be listening to the person who is anonymous behind their keyboard. Whatever they're saying or whatever they're throwing at you, you have no idea if they are just crafting like just witty, poisonous darts and they're not living out that life, or if they are just independently wealthy and they're saying, well, this is what is best. I prefer to see people living in the real world. That is what I can relate to. And I can say we're in front of the camera a lot. We are well, we are strong. We're showing you everything that we're able to accomplish around the farm. Every single Monday morning, we sit for Keto Beyond the Couch. We haven't been sick. We've been able to do our jobs. Like, I feel clear of mind. I mean, you would know if eating chicken or pork would cause us to lose our health momentum because we are living it right in front of you.
Right.
And we are well. It may not be my favorite thing to eat, but it is working.
The most important thing I want someone to get out of this as we begin to get into what are some budget-friendly or nutrient-dense options is we want to make sure that we are not sending the quiet message of, if you can't afford it, don't do keto. Because that is the message that we're getting from subscribers or people who probably aren't subscribers, but they're leaving comments of, if you can't do keto my way, if you're not going to only focus on beef, and unless you stop talking about the fact that you're eating a lot of chicken and poultry, like, I don't want to be subscribed to you. That's the message that we're getting. What kind of message are we sending to the average person who's first getting started on keto? We're sending them the message that if you can't afford beef, don't bother. And I want to make sure we don't do that. So let's get into some budget-friendly foods that are still packed with nutrients that you can eat on a keto carnivore lifestyle.
I love this because the truth is we have to feed families, not influencers, Joe.
Yes.
So first thing I'm going to reach for if I'm in the grocery store is going to be ground meat of some sort, right? Not fancy cuts, but ground meat. This may be where ruminant animals are still a possibility because you can get ground beef sometimes at a good price, even if it's grain finished.
You bite your tongue.
I know, right? It's supposed to only be grass finished. No, reach for ground beef, any ground beef. Also, ground bison blends. Blends can also be your friend. Things like beef and pork blends are nice. Nobody's going to be upset when they're eating a hamburger or meatballs made out of a mix of beef and pork because they are delicious.
Well, here's the thing. When it comes to beef and pork, yes, it tastes really good. I mean, a lot of chefs, like when they make meatballs, always blend beef and pork. They've got a good flavor. But here's the dirty little secret. When you blend the pork with the beef, pork is much cheaper than beef. So you're basically making your beef go further.
Yeah.
So now, instead of having to pay $5 a pound for a pound of ground beef, you can pay $2.50 for a half a pound of ground beef and then pay $1 for that half a pound of pork. And at having a full pound of meat, you've spent $1.50 less.
Right.
So that's something that you need to remember. And I understand you're going to get the pushback from the purists that said it's not grass-fed or it's too processed, especially with ground meat. But here is what we want you to remember. Whether it is the cheapest possible stuff that you can buy in Walmart, you know, like stuff that came from a feedlot, the stuff that is frozen in the tube section, right? It looks like a log. Whether it's that or it's I go next door and I take out my neighbor's cow in the middle of the night so he doesn't miss it. It all has the same amino acid profile.
That's right.
It's all going to have the same amino acid profile. The difference is it's going to be more affordable and it's going to be easier to be consistent with your eating when you're going that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you can do that little trick of beef and pork to continue stretching your beef for the inevitable future, right? That's nothing that you have to stop. You can keep doing that. And that is something that makes it sustainable.
Let's move on to one of the most controversial types of meat that you can eat, still stay keto and carnivore. And that's going to be pork.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Pork shoulders and butts, they're some of the cheapest meat you can buy. You're talking about like you can get on sale, you can get a pork butt for like 69 cents a pound in some places.
And that is going to stretch in order to feed a family.
Throw it in a crock pot, throw it on a smoker for several hours. Then, God forbid, you go to the store and you buy like G. Hughes barbecue sauce. You can have like 2 weeks worth of pulled pork. You could meal prep it and put it in the freezer for very little money. You also have pork chops, pork belly.
I love pork belly.
Bacon. I mean, all of this, you're talking about like you can get pork belly at Costco for under $3 a pound for a big giant slab of pork belly. And I'm going to challenge you to try to eat more than a pound of that pork belly because it's so fatty. Like even when we've made it and Rachel's like, I'm going to eat half of that thing. And 5 bites in, you're like, yeah, I'm done.
Yeah, you definitely have to tap out.
Oh, and don't forget bacon, even if it's cured.
Never forget bacon.
I mean, all of these are going to still be good. They're high in protein. They are very fat dense. They're very filling. And oh, by the way, they're very high in thiamine. I mean, pork is one of the best places you can get thiamine.
Of course, purists are going to object that it's not a ruminant animal, that it's inflammatory, they're seed oil fed, but many people still lose weight and feel better eating pork when beef just isn't realistic. And that's something that I really want the purists to hear. It is ridiculous for you to say you can only eat just this and do it correctly when it is just not realistic for people to do. It's just not feasible. When you say it can only be done this way and someone says, my budget will not allow for this, then you are saying just give up.
So here's my answer to the purist who says, well, you should eat this way.
Pay my bills.
If you are willing to be my benefactor, I'll be happy to eat that way.
Eat whatever you want.
I was talking with someone recently, like about a video I made on our camping channel. And they asked me how I created the images that I put in the camping channel. And I said, I used AI to help me with the image. Like it gave me the base because I am not a graphic designer.
No, I've seen you draw.
Right? And they said, well, do you think people give you flack if you use AI? I'm like, well, I'm only using AI to help me create the image to illustrate my point. But if somebody wants to volunteer their free services as my personal graphic designer, I would be happy to accept that. But until then, I'm going to do what I can afford to do, and AI is free. Same thing here. If you want to pay for me to go down the street and buy a whole cow for $5,000, I'll be happy to accept your money. If you're not, then leave me alone.
Well, it's funny, and I hope this allows people who maybe if you've felt the sting of people's judgment, it will allow you to let it go because complainers are going to complain no matter what. Yes, they are going to complain about our graphics on a free video that they're watching. Absolutely free. There's no buy-in on their part, and yet they're still going to reach out and probably say something negative. So if they are going to say something negative when we are offering them a service for free or giving them entertainment for free, then of course they're going to feel entitled to step on your toes when you're coming into a group, like a Facebook group, and say like, hey guys, what's your favorite hot dog? They're going to, of course, have to weigh in, but I want you to hear this. If we can let it go, you can let it go.
So before we even move on to the next one, because the next food is one of my favorite ones to use as an alternative. But before we do, you mentioned that we're rewatching The Chosen. Mm-hmm. And not a whole religious thing. But no. So as I'm watching that, I'm going, I don't get it. Like, why are the Pharisees and the Sadducees so upset? Man gets healed. Why are you upset? Why do you think these purists are so upset when somebody is not eating it their way, like eating the best, as Dr. Barry calls, pain massage beef, or, only eating beef itself or only eating lamb. Why are they upset? Because I have my opinion of why I think they're upset, but I'm curious, why do you think that they're so upset when they see somebody else who's not eating it?
Well, I think there's two reasons.
Well, give me one.
Number one, I think that they have decided to hold themselves to that standard. And so they're just stuck on the fact that I'm carrying out 613 rules at all times, right? Because it's not just the 10 commandments, it's 613 rules.
Which are impossible to keep.
Impossible to keep. But they're trying to juggle that. And so I think they're angry at anybody who feels like they're enjoying their life and not completely obsessed with following the rules. I think that upsets them. I think that the other thing that upsets them is if you quote unquote water down this religion, then now I just look like a guy standing here in a funny hat for no reason. So if you have like crowned yourself the neighborhood guru of all things keto and carnivore, like I am all knowledgeable, and then someone says, yeah, you know what, that doesn't work for me, this is how I'm doing it, it's working out fine for me, that pisses people off, because now again, I'm just standing here in a funny hat for no reason, and nobody is, not only are they not bowing to me to ask me like my opinions on things and weighing in on their life, but it also means that maybe what I'm doing is overkill for no reason.
So we're kind of on the same page, because my feeling is not all, but I think a lot of the people who get this way kind of just have the attitude of, well, that's not fair.
Sure.
Like if I have to eat this way, so do you.
But nobody's making you eat this way.
And then add in the fact there's a bit of fear that what if you and I have just as good of results eating Walmart ground beef and eating a lot of poultry, because that's what we're eating right now, and eating bacon, and eating the cheapest eggs you can buy. What if we have just as good of results as them on their $45 a pound Wagyu steaks that they're eating?
I think it's worse than that, because if I am eating hot dogs and chicken drumsticks, I may actually have time, energy, and a budget to like go enjoy a day at Disney World. And now I'm really ticked off because we're living a happy life, enjoying ourselves, but they have to stay stuck putting all of their resources into just being correct in the way that they're eating. And they don't even have ability to like go out for a day at the park, because if you're into something like seed oil dogma to the point where I can't go out if I come in contact with that stuff, then it means you stay in.
Right. So again, want to be clear. If you can afford a $45 Wagyu steak,
bring me with you.
It's not, and it's not going to affect you like in a negative way, then by all means eat it. Is the $45 Wagyu steak that was literally grown in somebody's backyard and only ever fed grass on an open pasture, not even hay, is that going to be healthier than the Walmart beef? Absolutely. Marginally, but it is better. I mean, again, it's marginally better. Because again, remember what we said, the amino acid profile is still the same. It's still the same. If you can afford it, great. We're not knocking you for being able to do that. Our point is just a lot of people can't, us included. And that brings us to one of our favorite things. And why? Because it's the cheapest for us to raise. And it's also one of the cheapest things you can buy. And that is poultry, especially dark meat. I mean, the bottom line is if you can go to the store and you can buy chicken legs and chicken thighs for 39 cents a pound.
Still. It's that one connection I think that we have with like our moms and grandmas. We go to the grocery store and it feels like we're still in the same sphere where you can sometimes buy something that's under $1. That like my grandparents bought meat by the cents, and here is another place that like years and years later, decades later, I am buying this chicken for maybe cents a pound, not dollars a pound.
So we were talking on Keto Beyond the Couch about the fact that we raise poultry. And why are we raising poultry? Not just for the eggs, but because we want to be self-sustainable. Poultry is pretty cheap. We like chicken. We like to eat chicken, but a lot of the stuff you buy in the store isn't the best. And get away from the whole hormone thing. You see these labels that say never hormone fed. It's not legal for them to ever be given hormones. It's a marketing ploy. So why is the chicken in the store not as good as a pasture-raised poultry? Mostly because of what they eat. And also the stuff in the store is a lot of times injected with dextrose water because they can plump it up 30% by weight. But it's what they're eating and their life that they're leading. So if you look at a chicken that you buy in the store, it is literally never sees the light of day. It's kind of depressing if you ever watch videos on how those chickens are raised. But they're given the cheapest grain feed. They're put in a big room, and then they live there for 6 to 8 weeks, of which 30% of them die of a heart attack. So what's the difference between that and our chickens? Because we've raised the same exact bird. They're called Cornish cross.
It's really quality of life
and the feed you're feeding. We're supplementing them because Cornish cross are not good foragers. So we are supplementing them where most of their food, we are giving them an organic feed that is non-GMO. It costs us significantly more, almost $30 for a 50-pound bag, as opposed to the cheap GMO non-organic crap that I can get for $12 a bag. So that results in our cost, by the time we pay $2 to $3 for that baby chicken for the day old, because you can't breed them on your own because they're a crossbreed, and then add in the feed to get them to a 6-pound weight at 7 weeks old, we've got $12 to $15 into that bird. That doesn't include our time. That doesn't include our caring for them or building them a shelter. That doesn't include our packaging them. It doesn't include our vacuum sealing them and processing them and defeathering them and all the money we have into that equipment. $12 to $15 per bird just to get it there. We haven't made a dime. And so on average, a local farmer sells that chicken for $35 to $45. If I could legally piece it out, because if you figure it out, $45 and we're selling for $25 to $30. That really does not seem like a lot of money, because if you go to the grocery store, how much is chicken breast right now? Boneless, skinless chicken breast, it's $6, $7 a pound. Well, figure that out with our chickens, and we're charging $5 a pound. So where's the rest of it? It's because nobody wants the dark meat. The dark meat is dirt cheap. They're making all of their money on chicken breast.
Well, and here's where learning how to cook cheaper parts of the animal and cheaper, cuts really will bless your life. Because I'm going to tell you, some of our favorite mall food, I think about when we would go to the mall and we'd go to the Japanese steakhouse, or you'd go to hibachi or stuff.
It's all dark meat.
Dark meat. It's all dark meat. And we thoroughly enjoyed it. Now, if you would have taken me home and say okay, what do you want? You want to cook some, chicken breast or dark meat? I'm going to say, oh, chicken breast, because I don't like dark meat. Lies, right? Because I really do like dark meat when cooked.
With the right seasonings.
With the right seasonings and in a fashion where I can really enjoy it.
It's funny because you are like your mother in every single way, except for the fact that you are not a dark meat fan and your mother loves dark meat. But the bottom line is, if I cook it certain ways, and here's the caveat, don't tell you it's dark meat, you love it.
Oh, yeah.
Like if I make our Mexican shredded chicken, but only use chicken thighs. If I make a keto teriyaki sauce and pour it over it and then cook it on the flat top, it tastes delicious. So again, this is a meat that you can buy for under 50 cents to $1 a pound. I don't think I've ever seen chicken legs for more than $1 a pound anywhere, and still be able to continue to be keto or carnivore.
Yeah, for us, we raise our own because this is for people who are on a strict budget like we are. It's a way for us to have access to a pasture-raised animal. the caveat is we have to raise that pasture raised animal. I know that that's not something that a lot of people can do. And so we're not saying, hey, you've got to sell all your belongings and move to a farm. You don't need to do that. I do believe that you can still enjoy chicken that you buy at the grocery store.
It's, as we said earlier, the cheapest, worst chicken, the chicken that was raised in that feedlot that never went outside, is still better than eating the standard American diet.
So something else that's awesome about chicken is it's easy to batch cook. It's something that you can meal prep very easily. It's high in protein. You hear protein everywhere right now. You want something that's high in protein? It's going to be chicken. Absolutely still keto, absolutely still carnivore. It's got a face, it had a mom. That is a carnivore thing. Now, I know that people, purists, are going to say, hey, chicken though, too lean, Joe.
That's what butter is for.
That's right.
That's what coconut oil is for. That's what avocado oil is for. That's what tallow is for. Listen, here's the thing. Tallow and lard, it's super cheap. I will tell you this. If you are going to incorporate external fat sources like tallow and lard, I would tell you to buy a good grass-fed, good clean tallow or lard. It's more important to buy the better quality tallow and lard than it is to buy the better quality meat.
Well, and let's say what's true also. It tastes really good.
Yes.
Remember, fat is flavor. So when you're talking about preparing stuff so you can enjoy it, get the fat that is going to have that clean taste to it so that it can be as versatile as it needs to be.
The other issue that a purist is going to have with it, and they're sort of right, is that chicken is higher in omega-6 profile than something like a ruminant meat. That is absolutely true. But again, still better than a standard American diet. And if you really want to look at the alternative, I cannot afford beef. Like, look at it, I cannot afford beef. I can afford chicken. Well, chicken is high in omega-6. Well, if I eat the standard American diet, the omega-6 profile there is 10 times worse than if you only live on poultry anyway. Plus, you can do things like fish oils and things like that. If you only eat poultry, but you eliminate the seed oils, right there, you're doing better.
We're making too much common sense right now. Can we move on to the ultimate budget protein? The absolute best, I think. I mean, I know that we're probably a little bit biased, but I don't think so. Not really. I mean, this is the truth. The truth's the truth, no matter who tells it, right?
Eggs. Eggs, I will continue to say, eggs are the healthiest protein source you can eat. The healthiest protein source. It is the ultimate budget protein too. And here is the thing about eggs. Someone's going to say, no, it's not. It is. Eggs have every vitamin and nutrient you need in the correct proportion. Think about this. Eggs bring life. We literally currently have 52 eggs that we pulled out of a chicken coop, and they are now sitting in an incubator. And in 21 days, they will be life. We just hatched out 50 of them.
So if you don't like chicken liver, eat an egg because the liver's in there.
Yes.
Right? You want to eat brain, you want to eat whatever, guts, they're all in there.
The thing about eggs, this is the place where, again, you do what you can. You spend what you can. But if you're going to ask me, I have one place that I can splurge on quality of food. I'm going to tell you eggs. So we were in Aldi the other day. Funny enough, the reason we go to Aldi now is to buy squash to feed to our pigs.
Right.
Right? That's what we're going to Aldi for. We're going to Aldi to buy vegetables to feed to our pigs.
They love them.
I happen to notice that eggs are currently $1.79 a dozen in Aldi.
That's pretty cheap.
That's pretty cheap, especially from a year ago.
And we have eaten a whole heck of a lot of Aldi eggs. So don't be shaming yourself if you're like, man, I've eaten an Aldi egg. We've eaten Aldi eggs when they're 89 cents a dozen.
That's right. And we did very well. It took us 2 years to go from eating all the eggs to pasture-raised eggs.
And in those 2 years, you began walking. I deprescribed all medication for myself as well. We both lost more than 100 pounds. So I think those Aldi eggs did as well.
They did. What I'm going to say, though, is this is the place where I would strongly encourage you to take a level up and buy pasture-raised eggs. So I'm going to quickly go through why and also the levels of eggs that are available. So currently, Aldi eggs in our local Aldi are $1.79. I don't know what they are in the rest of the country. We raise our own eggs. We sell our eggs as a backyard chicken for $5 a dozen. I know people who charge less. I know there are some people who charge more. Here's the thing about COVID. I think a positive thing about COVID and the egg shortage is it made a lot of backyard farmers.
It sure did. It made a backyard farmer of us.
And I think that a lot of people didn't realize how many eggs they were going to get. And you see people who have 3-4 chickens in their backyard going, I don't know what to do with all these eggs, because most people are not eating a dozen eggs a day like we are, right? So look for a local farmer. And if you can at all, buy eggs from a local farmer. You may pay a couple dollars more, but it's worth it. I'm going to tell you why. Before we get into that, though, there's the other kinds of eggs when you go to the grocery store. Let's say you only have access to a grocery store. You're going to have a few different kinds. You're going to have the cheap standard eggs. Then you're going to have organic eggs. You're going to have what they call free-range eggs.
Cage-free.
That's right, cage-free. Forgot about that one. And then you're also going to have pasture-raised. Here's the ones I'm going to tell you to absolutely, under no circumstance, never buy unless it is the only option afforded to you.
Cage-free.
Cage-free, and then also free range. Those are the ones you're going to avoid. If you can afford pasture-raised, those are the ones you're going to buy. What does pasture-raised mean? Pasture-raised means these chickens are raised outside the way a chicken is supposed to be raised. They're eating bugs, and they're being supplemented with a feed.
Pasture raised is like you have your own backyard flock, but somebody else is using their own land for that backyard flock. And also you're not cleaning up the poop.
They're usually going, most of these companies like Nellie's and all of them are going to local farmers and going, sell us all your eggs.
Right.
That's what they're doing. They don't have their own farm. Some of them do, but a lot of them is they're going to local farmers and they're buying up all their eggs. So after that, the next best for you to buy is organic, because organic automatically is cage-free. Organic is automatically, they are not being fed GMO feeds. So that's the next one. If you can't buy that, then buy the cheapest ones. The reason I'm telling you to avoid the other two is they're just money scams. So when you buy cage-free, those chickens are living the same crappy, I want to say a different word, crappy life as the one who is the cheapest egg. It's the only difference is there's no cage between them and the next person, but they still can't move. The other one, free range, it's a marketing scam. Basically, to be labeled free range, they just have to be given access to the outside, but it doesn't mean they're actually going outside. So they're charging you a lot more money, and it's a marketing scam. Why is pasture raised better? Because they're living a proper chicken life. They're being exposed to sun. They're eating what they're supposed to eat. And all of that transforms into your food. When they get more vitamin D, you get more vitamin D. It's one of the few foods where everything that they're exposed to comes right to you. It
is a really good return on investment.
Yes.
There's a lot of other places where you're like, hey, I bought a higher cut of meat. I think about like the biggest scam in meat is the tomahawk steak, right? You're basically paying for this giant bone. But as far as like quality of meat goes, a tomahawk steak,
it's a ribeye with a giant bone.
Exactly.
You pay 4 times more for the steak and get 4 times less meat.
So it's eggs. Quality eggs are not the tomahawk steak of the chicken world, okay? Quality eggs, you really are getting a good return on investment. If you ever work with those eggs, like you bake with them, or if you're eating them, you're frying them up. If you've ever had really good pasture raised eggs, you notice the difference right away. It's very easy to see the difference and taste the difference in quality. So I think it's a good investment of your money.
So when it comes to eggs, focus on whole eggs and egg yolks. Don't throw out the egg yolk. That's where all of your nutrition is.
Right.
If you want to throw anything out, throw out the white. But don't throw out the yolks. The yolk has all of the nutrition. Like I said, it's one of the most complete foods. It is going to be really the cheapest protein per gram you can buy. Think about this. Let's say you go to Aldi and you buy those eggs at $1.79 a dozen. $1.79 a dozen. For less than $1.50, you're getting 70 grams of protein.
It's amazing. Not to mention the fact that eggs are super versatile. So are you missing bread? Fine. You can use eggs to make a chaffle, right? You can use eggs to make pudding. You can use eggs to make dessert. You can use eggs to make quiches, omelets. Like there's so many things that you can do with an egg, and they add to so many recipes that the versatility of an egg alone is even better than ground beef. And ground beef can do some magical things. I always joke that like the test of a mom is like, how many things can she do with a pound of ground beef? Well, what you can do with an egg is pretty freaking amazing.
And I know here's going to be the purist objection. It's not meat. If you're a purist who thinks eggs are not meat, here's the thing. You're wrong.
How are they not meat when they are a chicken?
Right.
You know,
like I said, you're wrong.
What came first, the chicken or the egg?
Yeah.
Right? Like the meat or the chicken?
So some are going to say they're inflammatory for some people. That is absolutely true. For some people, very few people, eggs are inflammatory. I would tell you, if you struggle with eggs, try eating just egg yolks before you give up on them completely.
Also, can we stop assuming that every single person has every allergy and every dietary problem there is? Like for a long time, because eventually we are going to raise a cow. I'm sure it's going to happen at some point. However, I have been hesitant to go in on that because I watched too much Dr. Pol on Disney Plus and falsely assumed that having a cow meant you were going to have to pay a gentleman an exorbitant amount of money all the time to have his hand up that cow's butt because they're just going to have so many health issues that require butt maintenance.
We live in cattle country. Do you see a lot of hands up the butts on all the local pasture?
Never.
There's thousands of cows that surround our house.
And I've never seen an old man hanging out the outside of one. But here's the thing. It was explained to me, you know what? The drama is what sells. It's not a show without drama. It's not an Instagram reel without drama. It's not a YouTube video without drama, right? So when someone comes back, I'm allergic though, everything is allergic. Okay, I am sorry that you are allergic or have difficulty with a certain thing, but we are not going to shut down the egg industry because you have that.
I get sick when I walk in and somebody's got like a smell good thing. Does that mean they should just stop making them?
No, we are going to have the Cincy permeating the air, whether you find it satisfactory or not.
So these companies aren't going out of business because the smell gets me sick.
No.
I didn't think so. Okay, let's blow through the last couple because I don't want to make the video too long or the podcast too long.
Too late.
Okay, ready? Mm-hmm. Here's the one that the carnivore purists are really going to get upset with. Dairy is keto and carnivore.
Now, this is definitely one I don't understand. Why, if your meat makes amazing desserts for you, right? Like, because you eat meat, you also have access to dairy. So why wouldn't you want to eat cheese and dairy? Not all the time, not as much as Joe would like to have cheese, but like, why do you have to hate on it so hard? Like it's totally a no-no.
I don't know, but I just want to touch on dairy real quick. Dairy is a good option if you can't afford beef. It's not your sole source, but it's a good way to help fill you up, give you more fat, give you more protein, give you more calories without spending the money. Because the bottom line is dairy is still dirt cheap. So you can have things like cheese, heavy cream, butter, and one of my favorites is cottage cheese because cottage cheese is super filling. But again, it's going to be super affordable calories. It's going to satiate you. And the carbs are relatively low.
Now, of course, you're going to have the objection about it being addictive. Like, see, Joe, you eat too much of it. That's why no one should have any access to it. It's not carnivore enough because it doesn't.
I don't get that.
It doesn't come out of the cow, I guess, in a block of cheddar.
Okay.
And so that's overly processed.
Pause. It doesn't come out of the cow. And I know where you're going with this. Here's my question. Can you please tell me how I can get to the liver? Because every carnivore is going to tell you that's the healthiest thing in a cow, right? Is a liver. How do I get to the liver?
Without cutting it?
Without cutting it. So honestly, the dairy that comes out of the cow comes out a lot more naturally than that liver is going to come out, or the muscle that you got to kill the cow to get to the muscle.
What about the insulin issue?
It comes down to how much you have. It's not going to cause any more of an insulin reaction than eating protein. It's protein. And in fact, it suppresses your insulin some because there's fat with it. The biggest problem with dairy, I will tell you, is its addictive nature because it's delicious. And you don't generally have a shutoff for it. I can sit down easily and eat a pound of it. So you do have to have a little bit of control. But again, our point with dairy is it's a good supplement to help because it's cheap. The bottom line is some people need a bridge food so they can stay consistent. And I think that dairy is one of those bridge foods where you're still falling in with within keto and carnivore, but it becomes that bridge that helps you stay like in your lane.
Okay, I cannot wait to talk about this one. You talk about setting the hair on people. It's processed meats. Now we're not even pretending that this hasn't been more manhandled than the average Panda Massage beef, right? We're talking sausage. We're talking hot dogs. I'm talking about deli meats, y'all. What about that jerky, yo? Like, these are convenient, budget-friendly foods for people with busy lives. Yes, they're going to have seed oils. Yes, they're probably going to have some wonky additives from time to time, seasonings that don't jive with everybody. But here's my controversial statement. People eating hot dogs on keto are still eating fewer carbs than ever before. They're eating less seed oil than ever before. They're having less interaction with wonky ingredients than they were on the standard American diet. Yes, even if they're eating oven roasted turkey.
I'm going to tell you, you ready for this? You ready? You get to answer all of the comments on this.
Bring it.
I would rather you eat a package of the whole package of the 99-cent chicken lip and butthole hot dogs that you can buy in Walmart. I think you can still get a pack for like 99 cents or $1.99, can't you?
You can.
Okay. The whole package.
Ask me how I know.
3 to 4 carbs per hot dog. You are better off eating that entire package than one Big Mac.
Yikes. Yikes, right?
Yep.
What you're talking about with like bread and all the gunk on it.
Big Mac or the entire package of the cheapest lip and butthole hot dog that's got corn syrup in it, you're better off with the hot dog. Now, everybody's going to come at me. It's probably more carbohydrates than that Big Mac. It's still healthier.
You know what? Again, this should not upset people. If someone feels their blood boiling right now, you guys are crazy. You're being reckless with your advice. Then you need to say, like, why am I so upset? Because 10 years ago, the thought of somebody getting off their Special K diet or their Little Debbie diets and shifting over to those lips and buttholes hot dogs would be a relief. It would be a joy.
I grew up on lips and buttholes hot dogs. It wasn't until I met you that I had my first all beef hot dog.
Well, that was fancy talk for me.
That was very fancy talk.
Hey, if you're dating me, you know, we've got a high elevation.
So to wrap up all of the food stuff, you want to save even more money? You can take all of the things that we just talked about, the beef, the poultry, all of that stuff. Now go and shop in the frozen section or at a bulk store.
Right. Things like frozen burger patties. If you're wanting beef still, frozen burger patties are going to be your best friend. Buy things like bulk chicken leg quarters or buy those warehouse meat packs.
Yeah, this is going to matter because you're going to end up with a predictable cost. You're going to have much less food stress, and it's going to allow you to plan out your meals better.
Yeah, you know, that's the thing. Purists rarely talk about food stress. Like they just have nothing else to do except for meal prep their ribeyes or like, you know, age their things. But you know what? For real people, stress is something that we have to deal with. If we have to meal prep, if we have to buy on a budget, we can have stress about it, and it's something that we have to deal with.
So to wrap all of this up, take all of the stuff that we just talked about, all these different meats that we talked about where you can save money, the bacon and the chicken, the different types of poultry, even your processed meat like hot dogs. Now I want you to head to your local grocery store and go to the frozen food section, or even better, go to your bulk store like Costco, Sam's Club, or BJ's.
Oh, absolutely. Because if you're wanting cheap beef prices, frozen burger patties, for instance, is where you're really going to find a discounted meat. Also, bulk chicken leg quarters or those giant warehouse meat packs can really save a family money.
Not only that, when you go to these places, get there early in the morning. And the first thing I want you to do is run to the meat department and look for all of the discount stuff. And again, we call it special meat. It's the stuff that, like, you have to eat it within an hour of getting it home or it's going to go bad.
Freeze it.
Take it home, stick it in a vacuum sealer like our JVR Vac 100, and then put it in your freezer. It only has to be consumed or frozen by that date. So just go buy that special meat. You can save 50, 75% off sometimes on that stuff. And this is going to matter because now you have predictable costs. It's going to reduce your food stress, and it's going to allow you to plan.
Now, purists rarely talk about food stress, Joe, but it is real. I mean, people are concerned about how much things cost and how are they going to reasonably meal prep it for their family.
And if you're stressing about your food, that's going to derail your progress.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing is this. I'm going to encourage you, I don't know why I'm doing this as a social media person, but I'm going to encourage you to stay away from people who just post photos of their eating on social media, especially Instagram. Here's my favorite saying. There's nothing instant about Instagram.
No, every photo is like being planned for you to be dazzled by it. If you're not dazzled by it, you are just going to scroll past it. In order for you to lean in and subscribe, they've got to show you something extra. It's not going to be necessarily what they're actually eating. I mean, you're not there to see, is this how they eat day after day after day? You don't know, first of all, if they're even eating all of the food that they're showing you on the plate. And you certainly don't know if that's what they're doing consistently.
The reason I'm telling you to stay away from Instagram is because the second you go on there and you see so-and-so just ate a 28-ounce tomahawk steak.
Comparison.
You're going to start going, well, I don't get that.
Right.
My food doesn't look that good. My food's not that healthy.
Maybe that's why my makeup doesn't look as good on my face. It's
Right.
because they look beautiful because they're eating a tomahawk steak for dinner and I'm eating, chicken drumsticks.
That's going to lead to food stress. It's going to lead you to think that you're not doing it as good as them. Again, nothing is instant on Instagram. Everything that a keto influencer or a carnivore influencer puts on Instagram is put there solely for clicks and likes. They're not going to put a picture of their ground beef that's mixed with cream cheese and eggs on there, not because it's not healthy, but because it doesn't look pretty.
Right.
So just remember this, the quiet keto people don't post their food online.
No.
So just remember that Instagram keto versus Taco Tuesday night is the better way to go every single day.
Don't be embarrassed about it. To wrap this podcast up, I think I will feel like today was successful if I can convey to you that you need to eat in a way that helps you stay keto, not in a way that helps you impress keto people. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Eat in a way that is authentic and real for your budget, and don't worry about what anybody else thinks about it.
The bottom line is keto is for new people. It is for families. It is for people who are on fixed incomes. It is for people who are trying to heal their relationships with food. And it's for people who don't want food to be their identity. And we have to remember that. It's not just for the ultra wealthy. It's not just for the healthy. It's for everybody. And you have to find where in there can you put yourself to make sure that it is sustainable for you. If it is completely sustainable for you to only eat pasture-raised eggs, to only buy $25 a pound ground beef,
we're happy for you.
That you've imported from, wherever, that is great. But if it's not, eat the one that you can, even if it's the $2.99 log stuff that's 70% fat in Walmart, and find where you can work with and then work to improve that. As you get healthier, as you begin to get deeper into it, as you're able to get off of medication, may be able to take some money from other areas in your life and apply it into better quality food. But we have to start somewhere, and the somewhere is not in the middle of the grocery store.
No, this is definitely a progress over perfectionism ideal.
And I want to leave this. If your version of keto is pushing people away, you are not helping them.
No, because if someone is eating fewer carbs and feeling better, that counts. And it's something that we all as a community should be celebrating.
The best diet is the one that you don't ever quit on. So that is going to be the end of today's podcast. Let us know your thoughts down in the comment section. And also, please do us a favor. Make sure you check out some of our channel sponsors that are linked down below. If you're not following us on any of the podcast networks, make sure you go and follow us. We're on all of the different ones like Spotify, YouTube, Google Play, and also you can go over on YouTube and follow us there under Two Krazy Ketos. And until next time, I'm Joe.
And I'm Rachel.
And we are
the Two Krazy Ketos.